there will be accelerated growth in the use of natural gas vehicles in the years to come. The safe and reliable compressed natural gas cylinder is an important part of this transformation to natural gas as a vehicle fuel.
System diagnosis and repair. Now, there's three different types of systems out there you can encounter. Keep in mind we're talking about light-duty vehicles only. We're not talking about what you're going to find in medium and heavy-duty. You've got gasoline biofuel conversion, which is gas and natural gas. You got dedicated conversion or OEM feedback control, injected CNG systems, or you've got dedicated fully closed-loop feedback sequential injected CNG. So there's those three different types. And what I brought up here on the slide is actually showing General Motors' dedicated CNG system, and basically it shows where you have the fuel tank, you have the CNG tank that actually goes in. The thing to keep in mind about it is that we have added onto the system dedicated controls or additional to the gasoline system that's on the car. So, system diagnosis. We're going to utilize additional processors, injector driver modules that work in conjunction with the factory PCM. Okay, the PCM diagnostics and diagnostic link connectors are going to be the same. If we added the CNG processor to it, you're going to utilize a laptop or a computer that you hook up with the USB port to do diagnostics off of the added on CNG system. So keep in mind, if I have added a system on, I'm going to be using another protocol for actually going through and being able to get the codes out for the CNG system. The OEM sensors and that are still going to utilize the OEM PCM diagnostic link connector for going and getting the related codes out. So, dedicated system, I removed all the gasoline system that's on the car, including the EVAP, replaced with CNG components. I sent out the actual PCM and it's been reprogrammed for CNG only. So now I'm actually going to go through the OEM scan tool or generic, hook up to the diagnostic link connector for doing my diagnostics. So on a dedicated vehicle, we've stripped out all the gasoline components and now we're going to utilize the OEM PCM, go through the diagnostic link connector on that. Service manuals you're going to need for diagnosis. We use trouble tree charts on the CNG systems just like we would on regular gasoline. Most of the systems are designed to run transparently with the OEM PCMs if they're an add-on unit, so we can actually use bidirectional information on the system. So keep in mind that there's transparency on the systems themselves. If we use an injector controller, the reason we use the injector controller is because there's higher current demand on the injectors than with a factory type injector that we use for gasoline. So we have to use the injector controller for that higher amount of current. Troubleshooting, we're going to actually find out what the fuel pressures are, look at the fuel pressures and make sure they're within the realm that they're supposed to be. And then electrical problems, power and ground is going to be critical for making sure that they are actually where they need. Since we added stuff into it, connections can become corroded, loose, whatnot, due to some improper installation possibly, that we'll have to actually do our proper electrical diagnosis on it. Okay, emissions and performance. Now, natural gas has a higher octane rating than gasoline, so ignition timing can be advanced more. So if we're running a biofuel vehicle, there's going to be two different timing advance curves that need to be ran on the vehicle. You're going to have one for gasoline, one for natural gas. Obviously, we have to do this because if we stick with the gasoline timing curve, our performance on natural gas is going to be really poor. So we want to make sure that we have the two timing curves. The other thing is on emissions, natural gas produces less CO2 compared to gasoline, so our emissions will be greatly reduced. We have less carbon atoms. There's less carbon buildup in the engine. So now it's on almost act as a cleaning. If we have a biofuel vehicle actually going, if we run on gasoline for a while, we could get carbon buildup. By running on natural gas, we're actually going to actually clean some of the carbon out of it. There's less carbon buildup. The nice thing about natural gas, if we go complete natural gas, is we don't have the tendency of the oil to get as dirty because there isn't as much carbon there. We have a slower burn rate, so main and rod bearings will last longer. The fuel is not going to dilute the oil like we do with gasoline, so we can extend the oil change intervals. We are going to have to pay attention to our engine oil to make sure we use the proper type that's compatible with natural gas. Remember the dry fuel part about the lack of lubrication, so we have to make sure our additive package will protect the engine itself from things that will cause it to have accelerated wear that we wouldn't have to concern ourselves with if we were running straight gasoline. Natural gas and gasoline perform roughly the same. With today's computer programs, we can make up for the difference in that to where we actually end up with very similar amounts of performance and also fuel economy too. Most cases, your fuel economy is going to be roughly the same as it was when we switched from 100% gasoline to our 10% ethanol blend that we have today, which, you know, pretty much what they consider negligible as far as the EPA is concerned. Most emissions that we use, same type of catalytic converters in that we use today is the same thing that you'll use with natural gas. We end up with actually cleaner emissions. We have less CO2, less hydrocarbons, so it's actually going to be even cleaner coming out of the tailpipe than what we're used to on a car. This concludes our program on the F1 alternative fuel compressed natural gas. If there's any questions, please feel free to contact us. Thank you for choosing Team AVI for all your needs now and in the future.